All righty, welcome back, everybody, to Sports Profit TV. This is the MLS Live podcast, and we are excited to be back with everybody talking Week 7 Major League Soccer betting analysis, betting picks, right here on Wednesday night, like we always are, fresh off of a undefeated Week 6, absolutely smashed our 2-unit, which, I feel like a broken record saying this, but if you follow the show for the last couple of seasons, when we start bumping those units up, those unit designations, we got a pretty good track record. So thanks for providing that winner for us, HU.
Yes, sir. That was definitely a fun week. Super close to going 5-0, but good to have another undefeated week nonetheless. So looking forward to getting back into it.
100%. Cool. Let's jump into it then. We will start, as always, here at MLS Live with our sponsor, Juice Reel. Proud to be sponsored by Juice Reel. They are really doing some good stuff over there. Stuff to me that the sports betting community really is in dire need of, which is transparency and documented results. You can document your own results if you're looking for a pick selling service. I know pick selling services get a bad rap, but that's what this whole Juice Reel platform is about. You get to see how good the guy is or the service that you're buying is before you buy it. You can track your own bets there. It syncs with 300 plus sports books, including offshores, domestic, all that good stuff. Really, really nice app. Again, I mean, I have nothing bad to say about these guys, just because it's such an impressive technology, and they also sponsor the show, so go Juice Reel. All right, here we go. Jumping right into it. First game on the docket for Week 7. I'll start us off. We both have a pick for this game, so I'll get us started here. My picks are going to be fairly brief this week, just because I don't have a ton of analysis. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I'm going to the over 2.5 here to start us off. This is Montreal's first home game of the season. That happens because of the weather, because it's usually so cold. We're looking at like 44, 45 degrees around kickoff, so I'm not super concerned about crazy cold weather or snow or anything. That's not going to be happening in Montreal this Saturday. This is a mid-afternoon kickoff, I think around 4 Eastern, something like that. So hosting the Philadelphia Union, who have been off to a disappointing start, let's be honest. But if you've been watching them, I do think that there have been signs of progress. This is a team that had a lot of turnover, but this is still a system. This is still one of the best system teams in Major League Soccer, and they just kind of plug and play it, right? So they got their striker back from injury, the guy that they got from Sweden. I'm blanking on his name.
I think it's like a Lotto or Loda.
Lotto, yeah. So they got him back. They're moving the ball well. They're creating good chances. It's only a matter of time before they start going in. And when you're playing a team like Montreal, the chances tend to go up that some of those XGs are going to turn into goals. Montreal, meanwhile, we didn't expect this to be a good team. They really haven't. Unfortunately. I appreciate everybody jumping in the chat, by the way. I will get to a couple of those questions in a moment. Montreal, not so good. Looking at 5 losses in their first 6, but they're back home here. This has always been a team that has created and just looked better in general at home. And I don't think this is really like that bad of an attack, to be honest with you. I mean, their numbers are not that bad, especially given that they've been on the road every game so far this season. Prince Owusu, I think, is actually a really good player. The analytics say he's a really good player, and the dude scores. Getting Ivan Jaime healthy has been huge. Big fan of that signing. He's looked really good as advertised. So I think this is a Montreal team that can score, especially at home. I think Philadelphia, the goals are coming for them. That system is still the system. They're getting healthy as well. So taking the over 2.5 here, HU, to start the show.
Yeah, no, definitely agree, and that's kind of what I know we'll get into in a bit. But I think that the attack definitely has some positive regression coming here soon. So I definitely agree with this one.
All right, let me get to the chat just briefly. Alex, thanks for tuning in. No 2 units this week, no 2 unit release. We had one last week, obviously smashed that one. That was New York Red Bull team total over 1.5, and they scored 4. So that was a great winner. That's how we like to draw it up, right? So, all right. Bomb C McDaniel. Any bets on the Galaxy Toluca game? I used Toluca's team total in numerous parlays, 2 teamers. I'm not really a parlay guy, but I do like to put 2 good legs together every now and then and pick out a good winner. The only issue I see at this point with Toluca is that they opened at like minus 225 and they're minus 575 now, right?
Yeah.
So I still think that's the side. I would probably wait and look for a live spot there. Are lineups out for that one yet?
Yeah, I was just looking at them. I saw there was no hack, and then Glesnes still out for the Galaxy. So
really no hack either?
Yeah. So I think Toluca is definitely the spot.
And like Vega and Paulinho. Oh
yeah. So I think I'll probably once the show ends, I'll probably give out Toluca. I also kind of like the over. These games have been pretty low scoring in the Champions Cup, but
what are you going to play though? I mean, you can't play a -2 at this point, can you?
Yeah, no, I'm probably look at some combination of like Toluca and like a over a goal total. It's like those one of the SGPs or something along those lines, maybe 2.5 or something along those lines. But I think Toluca, it would be Toluca or nothing for me. I don't really see. I think the Vanny era is coming to an end at Galaxy, and I think that this could be the final nail in the coffin. So definitely would be a look at Toluca for me.
Yeah, I really hope so. Still no paint sale out there, so yeah, I'm ready for Vanny to be done.
I think 2024 was a flash in the pan, but I think since then it's kind of been all downhill. So,
right on. HU, you got one for us on this game too, so let's get to it.
Yeah, so just piggybacking off of what you said and what we talked about pre-show. This is I'm taking Philly here on the draw bet line or the PK line -110. Nothing better than betting a bad team to have to win for the bet to win, but no, kind of both a backing of Philadelphia and a fade on Montreal here. Do I think Philly's bad? Yes. Do I think they're worse than Montreal? No. Like you've mentioned, we've definitely seen them be able to create more chances as of late. I played them last week against Charlotte, and by the numbers, it was a good bet. They were actually able to create quite a few good looks at goal. This was my main concern coming into the season with Philly was their attack really worried me because with the loss of Barabo, I thought that they were really going to struggle up top, and they have so far. They've only scored 4 goals from 8.6 expected, so that is my worry. But kind of what I thought about for this game is I feel like a great spot for positive regression is against a team like Montreal, who they've conceded the second most goals in the league with 17 so far. We've seen teams like Cincinnati, even though it's probably undeserved, we've seen teams be able to get right against this Montreal team. They're still missing 2 of their best defenders in Vera and Hidalgo. So I think that defense will continue to struggle while they're out. And so just really back into Philadelphia side, like you mentioned and like we talked about, it's one of the best systems in MLS, and we've seen that for multiple seasons now. So I do think they were overrated coming into the season, but I think this is a great buy low spot on a team that I don't think is as bad as they've been showing. They went played Club America close, generated some good chances in those 2 legs. Like I said, last week against Charlotte, I know Atlanta's been pretty mediocre, but generated over 2 expected goals in that matchup as well. And, they've had a relatively tough schedule. San Jose's been on fire. New York's looked great. Like I said, at Club America and at home as well. So just a great spot against an inferior side. I think, Philly will have the talent advantage in this match. And just the defensive injuries on the side of Montreal are going to be a hindrance, which also plays into your over as well. So wouldn't surprise me to see like a 2-1, 3-1 Philadelphia win here, but I do think it's a game where both sides probably find the net and Philly finds a late winner. So.
Yeah, I don't mind this one. To be honest, I think the defensive injuries that you mentioned, those are big. Those are big for the over, and they're also big for backing a Philly side here. I wouldn't be shocked. Like, would a 3-2 Philly win shock me here?
Yeah,
not really.
Exactly.
I mean, I'd be fine with 2-1 or even 3-0 Philly. I mean, that wouldn't bother me one bit. We'd cash both, but I think there could potentially be a lot of goals here, and I mean, like you said, those are some pretty big missing pieces there at the back for Montreal. All righty, on to our next match. Vancouver hosting NYCFC. So this was kind of this is a little bit of a stick in my neck out spot, just because of how good Vancouver has been. I mean, analytically, they've been the best team in Major League Soccer. And we kind of expected a little bit of a step back from how good they were a season ago, but they've really reloaded. However, they are missing Kubas in the midfield, which is massive, really, really big for them. And I just love how this New York City team is built. I think this New York City team, by the end of the year, will probably be the best road team in Major League Soccer. Just the way that they set up. They're really hard to score on. They're really good with set pieces. They're good on the counter. This is just this is like a textbook team to get results on the road. And even when they lose, like they don't lose by a lot. So I'm going to take NYCFC plus the 0.75. The +1 was too juicy, so kind of cutting those in half there, taking the plus 0.75. If all your book has is a plus money on the double chance or the plus a half a goal, I'm okay with that too. I'm willing to back NYC at plus money if on the double chance, just because I love the way that they're set up. We were worried about them missing Martinez up top at the 9, but Nico Fernandez has just stepped right in and he's thrived. So a little bit of a, it's tough betting against a good team, especially a team. Vancouver has just crushed teams at home. I understand that, but I think these are two of the best teams in the league, and I think we're in for a very competitive, very close game here.
Yeah, no, this would be my lean as well, and I kind of agree with what you said. They know who they are essentially. Like they know what they have an identity and they know what they're good at, and I think that's important, especially when you go on the road, like you said. I mean, they know that their back line is the strong suit of this team, and no Kubas for Vancouver is obviously super important. We've seen them struggle without him in seasons past. I'm not worried about Vancouver. I was on them last week against Portland, and they were lucky to win that game, or even a draw was probably fair. But they're still going to be one of the best in the league. But I think we've seen some flaws and some cracks in this team, and I think New York is a team that can exploit those. Like I said, they're not going to go to Vancouver and put up 3 or 4 goals and play the most exciting style of football. But I think they could definitely go there and get a result. Slow the game down and really make it tough on a Vancouver side that's really struggling at the moment, and was minutes away from, I think it would be 3 straight losses. So should be a good spot here for New York.
Absolutely. All right, next one. San Diego hosting the Loons.
Yeah, so this was actually close to a 2-unit play for me. The price wasn't quite there, but I'm taking San Diego team total over 1.5 here, minus 145. Going back to our team total over 1.5, we had success with it last week, so we're going to hit it again here this week. If it continues to get a little better price wise, I don't mind this for 2 units, but this is a spot where I've been fading San Diego looking to fade them, and have faded them the last couple of weeks, and with success. We've seen them struggle here recently, but the place you want to bet San Diego is at home. We've seen this season they've played 5 games and they played 6 games, 5 wins and a draw, and we've seen them be a drastically different team from home and the road. So whenever you want to bet San Diego, you want it to be at home. The match against Galaxy last week for Minnesota, I was really surprised with, because this is a Galaxy team that is, like we discussed on the show last week, they're much more defensively sound, and their games have been with a lot less action than what we're used to.
Yep.
And they still kind of diced Minnesota apart, especially in the second half. It was honestly one-way traffic mostly for the Galaxy, and we've seen Minnesota really struggle this season so far on the road, even against mediocre teams. Like I said, the Galaxy over 2 expected goals allowed. And even in their first match against Austin, they traveled and allowed over 1.7 expected goals to an Austin team that honestly has very little attacking threat. So this is a spot that I'm really looking at San Diego. They've had a rough couple of weeks, off the, conceded many to Dallas, and then the Toluca tie was rough for them, but a great spot here at home. Going back to what I said last week for the Red Bulls play, I do think Minnesota will probably be able to score one or two, because once again, Manu Dua for San Diego got a red card last week, and I know a lot of the people over at Soccer Wise, I really respect them. They are super high on him, and he is one of the better youngsters in the league. So I think that's a really big absence, and so it would surprise me if Minnesota are able to get 1 or 2 on the board. I know James Rodriguez is back in training, and it looks like he might be able to feature for this one. So I do think San Diego is going to need to get a result here. That front line with Dreyer up top, he can kind of take over the game at any moment, and just fading a team on back-to-back away games. I think this is a San Diego side, which we've seen when they play at home. They've looked really impressive. Put 5 up on Montreal, which it's Montreal, but a convincing win there nonetheless. St. Louis as well. When they played Toluca, they were fortunate to win, but also were able to score 3 there. So just back in a really strong home team here, and not a desperation spot, but a great get-right spot against a Minnesota team that really hasn't shown me much on the road, and also has just struggled away and defensively over the course of the season. They've allowed the 23rd most expected goals with 10.5. So back in San Diego to get back on track here. Like I said, I think they'll need 2 to win it. So I like their team total over 1.5.
Yeah, this is a really strong play. Feels like it should probably be minus 200 to be honest.
Yeah.
I was surprised at the money line odds. To be honest with you, I mean, you make a good point about their center back Dua being unavailable. That's definitely important. But this Minnesota team has looked bad. They haven't looked like a good like a good team. So San Diego at home, still very, very, very crisp and polished and smooth in that attack. And they also had multiple guys back from international break last game, which is, again, part of the reason we like San Jose there. And, yeah, this is a good spot. You also have the traveling to the West Coast advantage in MLS, which is massive. It's been documented for years and years in this league that home teams playing on the West Coast have an additional home field advantage. It's definitely not priced in for this one because they're playable. So I don't know, who's asleep at the wheel there, but really strong play. Yeah, I'm with you. If this was like minus 130 or better, like probably a multi-unit look.
And I just think last week was more of an I think it was worse for the Galaxy than it was better for Minnesota. I think the Galaxy have a lot of glaring issues, and I think that was more of a vindication on them really struggling more than I was impressed with Minnesota. So I think it's just a great get-right spot, for a team that we've seen can put up goals at any moment. So
100%. Let's see here. All right. 4 official show picks. Any other games that caught your eye before we go?
I was looking into the Atlanta Chicago under. The Atlanta is just. It seems like they've continued on the exact same path from last season. I was expecting a little bit of a change with Tata back in charge, but the attack. I know the second half kind of popped off, but it looks lifeless. They still look like they don't know how to mesh. Like they kind of met each other 5 minutes before the match started. So and we've seen Chicago that they last week against Nashville, they kind of shut them down. I know Nashville are a pretty strong underside on the road, but I was impressed with the Chicago performance, and so I would look towards the under there. I was also looking. Part of me wants to back Cincinnati at almost half a goal, but I still think that I need to see a little more before I fully dive in with them. Also looked at Columbus because Orlando is just the definition of a train wreck. So no real strong leans. My strongest one would probably be the under in Chicago, Atlanta.
Yeah, so the only one that I really looked at that I had my finger on the trigger, I was very close to laying the juice on the road for San Jose at Sporting Kansas City, because I think we get to a point where we have to admit San Jose is a dang good team.
They're good, yeah.
They're really good, and they are very, very. They're good defensively now this year. They're beating. I mean, they beat Vancouver 1-0 on the road. They've allowed 1 goal this year. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shutout wins out of 6 games. You get to the point where that's not really a fluke, right? I absolutely hate Preston Judd. I think I don't even know how he's like Miguel Berry 2.0 for me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm going to started on him.
Yeah, he's Miguel Berry's playing in USL Championship now, which is exactly where he belongs.
Yes.
So, not to be too much of a hater, but is Timo not going to play striker for them?
That's what I've been waiting for him to start, and I'm like every match I'm checking, he's not there, and he's not there again. I'm like, I don't know why he's not playing. Maybe they're still trying to slowly implement him back in the lineup. But I think once he gets fully settled, even in his first match, he was dangerous. I think he was my golden boot dark horse, which is looking like a very poor take, but I thought he would be playing a little more than he has been so far. But
me too.
Just on that match, which I find interesting, is I was looking at the results, and when San Diego played at SKC earlier this season, San Diego closed around -140, and San Jose right now is like around -125, and we just saw San Jose beat San Diego 3-0. So
yes,
I'm not really sure why San Jose is at worse odds than San Diego was. So I would definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, the big thing for me is dude, Bruce Arena, he actually is the GOAT. I mean,
he really is, yeah.
Wherever he goes, he took a San Jose team last year that was just like, there's no way that they could ever be any good at all. And Bruce Arena just is Bruce Arena. I mean, he is on another level, man. I mean, our national team would probably be significantly better off with Bruce Arena in charge right now. Yeah. So
we saw them defensively. I mean, they were, I think it was 2 years ago, they were one of the worst defensive sides in MLS history. I know Daniel was hurt most of that season, but I mean, it was every game was 2 or 3 conceded at minimum. And now they went to Vancouver and held them to 1-0. So I mean, they've really transformed the overall makeup of the team. And like you said, he's done an incredible job, and I think they can definitely do. I think they can win the West. No, but it wouldn't surprise me if they made a run or had an upset here or there. So
yeah, to me that they're one player away from that attack being up there with LAFC.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's is Timo going to play the 9? Is Judd the 9? They're going to have Timo out wide the whole season. Maybe when if DeJuan Jones comes back, I mean, I know he can play up high sometimes, so I don't know. We'll see. But
before we go, I know you asked last week, do we think this is the week that LAFC concedes?
Let's see who they're playing.
They have Portland on the road.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see Portland scoring just because LAFC's got the look-ahead game in Mexico at Azteca. So,
I mean, this is insane. 14 goals scored and none conceded through 6 matches. I mean, I know they've had some. You have to be pretty lucky in a way to not concede after 6 matches, but
yeah, really impressive.
Yeah, no, they've looked good, and I know we were talking about it. Like, it wouldn't surprise me, if they make deep runs in multiple competitions.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that we have seen their kryptonite consistently has been like a really good organized low block.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason that they'll be seeing that.
Yeah.
And for the rest of CONCACAF Champions Cup. I mean, if they win, they're up 3-0 on Cruz Azul, going to Mexico, going to Azteca. I think it should be ready to play in renovations and stuff. So if they can get past Cruz Azul, who right now is the best team in Mexico, I mean, like they're probably number 1 team in my power rating in Mexico. If they can get past them, it's very likely Toluca. Talk about a classic. That LAFC team going to Toluca and that venue and that atmosphere is going to be an absolute classic.
Mm-hmm.
And there won't be any kind of low blocks being played there, I'll tell you that. So
for sure,
some really exciting soccer ahead of us. But all righty, folks. Well, that was 4 official show picks. Fantastic week last week. So hopefully we can run that back. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. All of our streams are here on YouTube, so you'll get notified anytime we go live. And HU, thanks for joining, man. Any closing remarks?
No, sir. Just looking to carry over the momentum and hopefully have another successful show.
Absolutely. All right. See you guys next week.